Love and immunity, beloveds. Part two was my phone died. In the world, she is not looked up to unless she carries some type of statute, idol, or she has a accolade. In the world, we do not look up to people as this. We look up to people as this. And inside of this, it creates in this darkness. It creates hate. It creates evil. It creates wickedness. Why? It creates all the deadliest sins that we have had to embody. Because when we can't be looked up, this is why I say I don't have respect for anybody who does not respect me as a living kingdom. Why? Because some people have been taught, many people have been taught to see her as a minority. Which means that minorities are not respected even by the law. Minorities have been treated like a deadly weapon by their own people, by living kingdoms for hundreds of years in the history of the world's understanding, the world's knowledge. This is why you have to understand this is heart immunity. Heart immunity is when you can come out of this, come back up into this. This is where the truth will set you free. This is where you will start to understand this is where all of life is taking place. All of life. You see that? Do you see that right there? Right there. Everything is taking place right there. Do you see where the blood is flowing up to? Right there. This is directing its ways. So this is what you have. You have the Holy Spirit telling your mind to tell the body to be a perfect image and a perfect likeness. So when you're operating from this, you have the world telling your body to tell your mind to tell the spirit to create in you whatever they tell you. So the world told me to tell my body, to tell my mind, to tell my spirit that I'm a black woman. So now that's what I believe. So I have to live up to her standards. I had to live up to her standards. I had to live up to her perceptions. I had to live up to her directives. I had to live up to who she was. Now that I have become the transformed and the renewed mind, now my spirit tells my mind to tell my body she is a heavenly realm. She is heart immunity. She is the transformed and the renewed mind. She is the living truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God, that every time I come outside of that knowledge and that understanding, you will bring me back into this kingdom. Remind me in this kingdom to instruct this kingdom's way, that she may have life in all of its abundance. Our heart immunity is our health. It is how we break bondages. It is how we free not just our own soul, but every soul that has been enslaved in this knowledge. My people perish because of lack of not understanding this knowledge and eating from the knowledge of this tree, when this one is the one that creates this one. So you have a whole world now living in these two, in the mind and in the body. But this is the only one that is living. So though I may walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you got everybody walking. This is the valley of the shadow of death. Why? Your mind is telling your body to live off of how the world has taught us to live. We can't live in the world. The world is not living. The world is created by nothing but words. All you have to do is go back to the understanding of how you were taught in the world. How do you think every one of us is taught in the world? We're taught by the words in the dictionary, and the word became flesh and made its dwelling. Here, the word is already living. It's your book of life. Your gene is the book of life, and it directs the body's way. In the world is your book of life, and it is directing the mind's way. The mind is telling the body, and the body is telling the spirit, surely you're going to die. Reverse psychology. Reverse psychology. No one teaching you in reverse psychology is a teacher of life. They can never understand life. They don't have the directive to use that consciousness according to its own fabric of existence. And when you understand, like myself, this is why it took me so long to heal, because 2 years of the understanding of this, just crying to God one day, and I said, God, if you don't stop it, if I have to go through one more thing, I'm taking my life. And God said, oh, no, 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 she's mine. God led me back to this. And when I got led back to this understanding, this one awakened. Oh, this one just woke up. It's been sleeping. The world put this to sleep. The world put your book of life. It wrote you out of your book of life to write you into its book of life, the dictionary. The dictionary is the world's book of life, but yours is the Holy Spirit. Your book of life is existence. And once you operating in its mind, which is the directive in the gene, the code, the genetic code, that code is already, you see all these little things? See those as breath. See them as nature. See those little dots? They the same as you. You got a whole spiritual existence just waiting for you to join, to walk in this image and this likeness, beloveds. Y'all walking in the valley of the shadow of death. Y'all walking with dark forces, spiritual forces of evil. You're not walking with good, wholesome immunities, beloveds. You got to walk with immunity. In the first place, it starts when we are coming back into our own beautiful, beautiful image and likeness, is our heart immunity. When I have anybody trying to send me down this realm, anybody trying to take me into a rabbit hole, and my realm is just complete knowledge. My people perish because they don't understand this is who they are, but they want me to believe this is who I am. I don't have a directive. See this right here? If you ever understood the biology of the gene, if you ever understood, and I didn't have to go to school for this, beloveds, why did I not have to go to school and get an accolade? I am greater than an accolade. I am its creator. I'm a biologist. I am the creator of the biology. So why am I going to school to be a tail? And I'm the head? Why does an accolade give me my worth when I'm greater than the accolade? If the only way that I can be looked up to is if I have an idol and a statue, and I become a false prophet, and I'm greater than all of those, what am I in the heavenly realm? What am I to the heavenly realm? I'm a spiritual force of evil to the heavenly realm, if that's how I operate inside of a immunity. If I am operating inside of a immunity as a tail, and I am the head, I am the spiritual force of evil. I am the darkness. And everything that I lead in these two dimensions, or these two knowledges, is automatically going to steal, kill, and destroy from her. Automatically, the darkness is going to always come and take from her in all of her existences. So every time you have a heavenly realm born, and everybody in the world is consumed by that fire, by that darkness, how is life ever going to be added back onto you guys? How does life ever come back into you guys? If this is what the end time prophecy is about. The end time prophecy is about when this kingdom is no longer capable of being the light. It's no longer being able to be existence to this gene. Then this one right here is obsolete. Is extinct. It's no longer. We have to understand that we are not dealing with we're dealing with an existence. We're dealing, Grand Rising sis, we're dealing with an existence. We're dealing with immunity. We're dealing with either life or death when it comes to this kingdom. Remember, this is chemical. This is chemical. If you understand that your body is a chemical, when you understand that your body is either a heavenly realm or a spiritual force of evil, to make something not living flow through these veins, this is living. This is not living. Her names, her words cannot be what's feeding me. My existence has to feed me. This kingdom does not get fed anything living. This kingdom is not loved. This kingdom is not nourished. This kingdom is not fed from the branches. You see all those branches of this? This kingdom is fed from words that have become flesh. And now this kingdom is operating. If you've been taught you die at the age 55 or your generation lives to be 55, this one will automatically answer that calling. I came to give you life. So it can even give life to death. It can give life to age. It can give life to words. And the word became flesh. I give life to anything that you ask in my name. But we're not asking for life in its name, which is existence. We're asking for life in accolades, idols, statutes, and false prophets. We're asking for things that are not living to enter into a heavenly realm. And inside of a heavenly realm, and you are pure chemical, you got to be fed the right immunity. You have to always be fed the right immunity. And your heart immunity, you can call it love. I call it truth. I just call it truth. Who around me is not operating in the truth of my own genetic makeup? That's all. I just call it truth. This is how I have discernment to test the spirit. Is this the spirit that I want to be teaching me? Is this the spirit that I want to be governing me? Is this the spirit that I want to be leading me? Is this the spirit that I want to be getting my knowledge from? Because my knowledge is living. How do I know this? In my mother's womb, that gene created me. Organ by organ, limb by limb, cell by cell, tissue by tissue, it directs my way. So why haven't I ever learned about my knowledge? Why don't I know about my existence? That's discernment. When you can have discernment over truth, because the truth sets you free. This is how she became free. She became free when she came back into her own living truth. Humanity is not living in this truth. Humanity does not teach this truth. Humanity hates this truth. In the Bible, when it says, for those who hated me and for those who loved me, I will revisit you. I will revisit you. This is you right here. See all these little genes that's going to come back generations upon generations upon generations to create another image and another likeliness of you? Who not teaching us this? Why aren't we understanding this? Always go back to Ephesians 6:12. When I want to understand my heart immunity, when I want to live in my heart immunity, when I want to remember who I am and I want to stay in that presence, when I want to stay here and always remember that I am an immunity to every human being, I feed those vessels. I make they flow of life because I'm universal. I'm one with everybody. So when I want to understand and stay perfect in this image and in this likeliness, because I can, that's my root nature. And I don't want to be imperfect like her. She's imperfect. She's a deadly weapon formed against this. See all that's flowing in there? Her understanding is a deadly weapon against this right here. Against this right here. She kills off this kingdoms. She does. This one is infinite. It does not have an understanding. Its only understanding is that I came to give you life, and this is all of its abundance. Do you see all that flow? And then she becomes the manifestation of it. And it does not look like the world, beloveds. It does not look like the world. First, it has to return back to one. First, it has to look like life. I had to lose everything. You know, when it says you got to die to the world, you have to die to be in her. She's the world. Her knowledge, her understandings, her beliefs, her perception, her doctrines is all of the world. Not one thing that she knew. Not one thing that she knew before she wrote this book. Well, she did. But she didn't stand on it. Remember, I said I had to admit I was wicked. I had to admit that I was deceitful. I had to admit that I was operating in the flesh and not in the immunity of every living kingdom. I was a lethal weapon. I had to admit that. It's many people who will never admit that. They ain't gonna never come out of this kingdom. They ain't never gonna not be able to produce a fruit. Why are you producing fruits and you sitting up here, the seed of life, and you producing fruits? No, everything that I produce should be a seed. You see these little things? Every time I think, my thoughts should be producing the immunity for this kingdom. Everything that I believe in should be producing the immunity for this kingdom. And everything that I should be thinking, everything that I should be teaching, everything that I should be governing should be the book of life. That this mind will always be one in this kingdom. Always. My mind and my body will always reflect back to one. I and my Father are one. Right here. This is what we are. We're one in here. My mind and my body is one in the Holy Spirit. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't never going nowhere. You see all these infinite existences right here? You see this one? She's just one. In her understanding, I'm just one existence. Oh, life is short. You get the hell out of here with that lie. Do you see this? Do you understand what made you up? Do you understand what is living inside of you? Do you understand what created this gene and what gives existence to this body? Infinite, infinity, eternity, eternal, immortal being gives existence to this beautiful covenant. And you got people like her saying, oh, life is short. We only have one lifetime. Do you know how many of these genes from the beginning to eternity has been born? And you say we only have one lifetime. This is why they say the devil is a liar. This is why they say the devil is a liar, beloveds. I mean, it's just like life is really, really, really for us. But as I stated, some people do not want this for us. It's some people who do not want this for us. And this is where you need to have discernment. And it's not because you're trying to make people look bad. Every day in her image, I look bad to somebody. Every day in her image, I look bad to somebody. Do you know how many people who don't have respect for me? Do you know how many people who have shown me they don't have respect for me? Do you know how many people have played games with my life? Do you know how many people who have led me up in this kingdom, walked me in the valley of the shadow of death, punished me for no reason at all, being in her understanding, in her knowledge? So does it really even matter what anybody thinks of you? Because as long as you in this understanding, you don't have no understanding. It's pure ignorance. It's pure ignorance. Why? Because this one, and this one is what created you. And she, the person we call the human, is just the fruit. She's just the fruit. But you are the seed. You are the book of life. And you are the image and the likeness. And what you create in her should always be the manifestation of the existence of her. Not the existence of man or human, or what the world has told you human should be. Because in this human, she has never, and will she ever be this existence, life, and the creator of it. Heart immunity. Heart immunity is when you can come back up into your own immunity. Stand still and know that I am your God. Guard your heart through the well springs of life. Your spirit, I am, flow in your immunity, in your behalf, for your health, for your consciousness, for your state of being, for your eternity, for your immortality, and for your mortal being. I am one. For you. I came that you may have life, and here is its abundance. You're transformed in your renewed mind and your wellspring, your heart. You let me direct your ways, and she will produce my image and my likeness always. You let the world direct your ways, and you will operate in Ephesians 6:12 forevermore, because I am eternal, immortal being, which means that every time you take a part of me and you make her one in the world's understanding of who I am, and you make her become that knowledge, I will create in you an inequity that will forevermore create your fruit until you number your days and you return back to me. As your own inequity. And I will revisit you if you love me or if you hated me. I know you by your heart. God knows our heart. God knows the type of immunity that we take into this gene, and that this gene represents for this spirit, for the existence of this body. In all of them, every last one of us, we represent the branches. You see all those branches? What is this feeding this? Remember, this gives life to this, and this feeds this. Surely if you eat from the knowledge of the tree, you see these trees? What tree is this mind operating in to feed this vessel? Who's feeding you life right now, beloveds? Who's feeding you life? Is what you eating in, is what the mind is taking in, is what your mind taking in today. Does it have anything to do with existence? Does it have anything to do with this living kingdom? Is it a transformed and a renewed mind? Is it operating in the immunity of existence? Or is it operating in the immortal and the mortal kingdom, which existence cannot direct those ways? Only the knowledge of the tree that is feeding you can direct those ways. Heart immunity is our healing nature. If you are seeking healing right now, this is where you're going to find it. When God starts to work with you, when God starts to come back up and take you back here, take you out of the world, she represents the world. The only way the world looks up to you in that is in darkness, beloveds. It's just darkness. When people cannot see you as a living kingdom, the only way that they can recognize you as anything of importance, although your whole existence is more important than this jacket, it's more important than this color, it's more important than an accolade, it's more important than an idol, a statue, a degree, a name, a word. When your existence is more important than anything that is outwardly, and this person, including yourself, does not honor you as this, and this is the head of this, and this is the tail, you're not operating in heart immunity. You're not operating in heart immunity. Number one, you're operating up here. This is ego, and this is darkness. When you operate in here, you're automatically operating in the truth. It's like some people, they want me to operate up here. They'll pay me. They'll pay me to operate up here. Although what I'm going to be doing to her is killing her. Every day I sell my soul to operate in these two realms, I kill her. I can't add on a day to her lifespan. And not only do I kill her, I kill everybody. My nourishment. This morning when I started to get these downloads, it says my nourishment, what lives inside of me, because my heart is just like the breath. It's a frequency and a vibration. Everybody is resonating off of me. I'm feeding everybody right now with this truth, whether they can hear it, whether they believe it, whether they hear it coming from my mouth, my spirit. You see, my spirit is a living kingdom. I'm not operating in the valley of the shadow of death. My mind is not governed by the world's conformity. My mind is under the directive of, you see this? Existence. So just my presence alone is worthy. Her presence is not worthy. Nobody operating in the presence of the world, the understanding of the world, the knowledge of the world is worthy. And this is just the truth. Why? Because all of life is taking place in this and in this. So anybody who try not get you to operate off of this, they're not in their heart immunity. Everything that they produce is Ephesians 6:12. Is this a good or a bad thing? In the world, it doesn't. It's not. Why? Because life don't exist in the world. But inside of this world, you see this world that you got going on, your internal earth, it's death. It's sickness. It's transgressions. It's sins. And it is a slow chemical genocide. And it's called manslaughter, because this soul, this is why it says, what does a man What does she profit? What does she profit if she gains the whole world? But this is who she is. This is what she's creating for. This is what she's living for. And this is what she's the book of life for. That gene. For generations to come, that they may have life in the abundance of that life. That they might not be enslaved to the masters of the world, to the spiritual forces of darkness, to evil. And the saddest part about that evil that you guys are being enslaved to, the saddest part about it is that it is just a word. You fearing a word. You fearing those who are letting poltergeists operate in them. Wish it away, Caroline. Wish it away. You're selling your souls over to people who don't give a fuck about you. Who will refer to call you black instead of existence. Who will refer to lead your mind outwardly and you were born inwardly. Who will refer to create in your image and in your likeness things that make you struggle, things that make you fear life, things that make you hate life, things that make you abuse life, things that make you kill life, things that make you post-traumatic stress, things that make you carnal, things that make you sinful, things that make you deadly. You're sacrificing your own heavenly realm to create in every living kingdom sickness, sin, and death. And then you saying that the devil did it. This is you. This created you. So where does the devil exist in any of this? Where's the devil at? Do you see the whole thing? This is all you. This is your first. This is the 3, the 6, and the 9. This is what it creates. The fruit. You are the seed. So I create life. That's what my mind governs. That's what my knowledge is. This is my knowledge. This is what I was born in the image and the likeness of. I didn't have to go to school to get this understanding. It comes innate. It's my spirit. The world did not teach me. I know the same thing that biologists know. But I don't have to give you all the words. I don't have to make up all those other words that become flesh. I just teach you it through your own Trinity. This is what swam up into your mother's womb. This is what directed its way. And this is what turned it into this. I don't need to tell you 500 different understandings of this, 500 different, the chemoplasmic and the plastically and the neuroplasticities and the biochemistries. I don't need to tell you all that. Sweetheart, this is you. This is what directs you. And this is why you came. So that you can form this, all this, into the image and the likeness. I came so that you may be life. All the other things, all those definitions, they don't mean nothing. Inside of this kingdom, a definition is just like Alice in the Wonderland. It is you're going to go down another rabbit hole. You're going to have to go down another dimension. How many? I and my Father are one. If we create in this image and this likeness, this image and this likeness will ensure that this one never can create in this one sickness, sin, and death. We will never die. We will never be sick. And this one will create, you see how it created the trees? It will create natural living, a natural living ecosystem, which means that everything that we exchange as micro, as macro, it will be feeding us intelligence. Right now, many people ain't being fed intelligence. Do you think being born this right here, existence, and she has been taught to fight for living rights is intelligence? Do you think that is intelligent, beloveds? Is that intelligence? Just ask yourself. This is why Jesus said the truth will set us free. And this is why we have to understand. You have to test every spirit. You have to test every spirit. Why? Because life is not taking place in her. Life is taking place in the spirit. And you don't ever want spiritual forces of evil coming into her. Because this is where it will direct her ways. It will direct her mind. And then her mind will send those directives to her body. And then her body will have to act out in that directive. So some people are doing things that they don't even know. This is why it says, who knows the heart is wicked and the mind is deceitful. Many people don't know that they're not working for this kingdom. They're working for the world. Go and read Ephesians 6:12. All it is all about, beloveds, all the whole Bible is about this and this gene. That's all it's about. The whole Bible is speaking to your Holy Spirit. It's your soul, your Holy Spirit, trying to awaken the gene back up into its book of life, to its own memory, to its own living truth. So then it can direct the body's way, take the body out of the world and bring it back into its living truth. That's all the Bible is here for. Now, if man is trying to interpret it, man is going to interpret it this way, backwards. Why? Because man does not remember. Even in his mother's womb, he came from this first. And then he came here. And then he came here. And then he made this. He became this. But man says, no, I'm this. I tell this what to do. This tells this what to do. And this tells this what to do. Surely if you eat from that understanding, this is going to die. Discernment. Testing the spirit. And the first spirit that you test is the heart. This is why God says, guard your heart. How does this person make me feel inside? Is this person making me feel like life? Or is this person making me feel sad? And when you got to understand sadness, this is sadness. When I was operating as her, I was sad all the time. When I had to operate as her, I was sad. Number one, she's a minority. Come on, beloveds. There are some people in the world who hate her just because she carries that word. Because she's the idol. She's the statue and she's the false prophet. So she was always sad. And number one, she could not be loved. Why? Because we taught to look up to so many standards that we don't even recognize that we don't even love one another. Our love is the only time we get loved inside of this kingdom, inside of this knowledge, is when we have an accolade. And nobody cannot say that this is truthful. You be a black person and you don't stand for shit that world has told you to stand for. Your own children will disrespect you. I'm just telling you. Your own children will disrespect you, even though you gave them life. Black people have been taught, minorities have been taught that they ain't about shit unless they got something that the world has deemed for them to be worthy to praise themselves upon. Although you are life, you are greater than her, you are greater than a color. Number one, you ain't even the color that you've been told to look up to. I'm looking up to a standard that ain't even real. I am a false prophet. I am a idol. I am a statue. I am a sheep in wolf's clothing. Come on, beloveds. I had to admit this. Do you know how free I became after I just not wanted to live in her image and her like I could never live up to her. She ain't even worthy. She was not even worthy to be lived up to, beloveds. She's a minority, number one. In this kingdom, I'm her head. In my living truth, I'm her head. Now I want to teach my fruit how to be the head and not the tail. This is my fruit. Why am I teaching my fruit? If I'm the seed, this is me. If I'm the seed and I produce this, this is what came out to be me. Why do I want her operating in the world's understanding? In her own living truth is greater. Come on, beloveds. This is ignorance. The world has taught us nothing but ignorance, and that is the truth, the holy truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God, that I know I am greater than to live up and to look up to a standard that does not even create a living existence, that does not even create wisdom or knowledge, that does not create anything in this kingdom but death and wickedness and deceitfulness. This is how you have to understand the truth, by admitting to yourself, this was me. And I got to come back to who I am. Tell them I am sent me here. This didn't send me here. She ain't shit in this world. I'm just going to tell you the truth. The only way that anybody will live up to her be based on the world's standards, based on the world's acceptance, based on the world's understanding of what authority and love and like, how we like people. How do we like people in the world? We only like people who have accolades. We only like people who have degrees. We only like people who other people can look up to. Although these people that we living up to can be leading us, walking us in the valley of the shadow of death, killing every last one of us off, poisoning us, treating us like we are seeing sickness and death, but creating it in our image and our likeness and telling us the devil did it. And we looking up to this person as though they something. And this is the only thing that will ever be anything for this person. It's time. These are the end of our days. The end of our days is when this right here is now your directive. And this right here has already been given the directives for your end time prophecy. And this right here is going to handle you according to handle you how you handled this. Now it's the reverse psychology. Now it's coming back to one in itself. Now it's coming. Oh, here I am. I'm revisiting you now. Now I'm going to go into what you told me in this to do in this. And now I'm going to do it in this. Instead of creating this way, you've been creating this way. So now I'm going to revisit you. Who am I going to revisit? You, and you. Here's the inequity. This is the inequity that the Bible is speaking about. How do I know what an inequity is? It lives inside of your gene. And your heart produces it. God knows your heart. God knows all of our hearts. The Spirit knows our hearts. As a kid, that is what talks to me. That is what talked to me. Today, that is still what talks to me. When I know something is not right, it does not sit right in my heart. When I know someone is not for me, my heart feels it. Why? Because our hearts are just one beat. We under one accord, beloveds, every last one of us. When something is not healthy for me, you know it. Do you think being a minority is healthy for any living kingdom? Just ask yourself these questions. If anything gives you a feeling that it does not feel right in you, you test that spirit. If any knowledge is coming into you or asking to be put into you that does not make you feel equally yoked to everything, vibrant, exuberant, healthy, joyful, should you be accepting that knowledge? Should you be agreeing to that knowledge? And should you be asking anybody else? If it doesn't make you feel good, why would you ask somebody else to embody that spiritual force of evil, to take in that darkness? And you know how it makes your soul feel. You know how it makes your heart feel. You know how it questions your mind. You know how it makes you feel inside. And you are sitting up here, wholeness. And what you taking in makes you feel like a minority. Don't make you feel whole. And not only is it not making you feel whole, it's whole directive. Its whole perception, its whole doctrine is to make you feel and to believe you are a minority. And inside of this right here, you have to be flowing with the wholeness of existence. And this right here is telling your existence to tell your existence to be stagnated, coagulated, hardened. Remember, God says, I hardened their heart. Why do you think our hearts get hardened? The type of immunity. Where are we getting this immunity from? Because our truth, our immunity is living. So who is giving us our immunity? Who's giving us our immunity, beloveds? Because our immunity is already living inside of us. So when we take in things from the world, that's not God's immunity. That's not God's knowledge. That's not a living existence, beloveds. Ephesians 6:12 tells us this. I am not against your flesh and your blood. I am against the rulers of that world who bring spiritual forces of darkness into this one. And then this one, because it is the highest realm, the heavenly realm, it takes it into this one, tells it to be a spiritual force, and then feeds it into this one. And it becomes death, sickness, sin. Heart immunity is our first knowledge. Guard your heart through the well springs of life flow. And when you can get this, beloveds, when you can get it in its truth, and the truth shall set you free, your heart will become a living immunity. A living immunity. And you will feed everybody through these. It don't matter. Surely if you eat from the tree of good and evil, there's no such thing as good and evil, beloveds. So when you still have all these people telling you what's right and what's wrong, the only thing that's right and what's wrong is this. What you feed in this. What are you telling this? This is what's right and what's wrong. To take anything that's not living and to teach it to this, and this feeds this, that's right and wrong. Now you get to talking to me in the heavenly realm, you get to talking to me in truth, I'll listen. But when you talking to me as this, I ain't listening to you. I'm going to use my spirit to go before those words. I'm going to use my spirit to go before that sickness, sin, and death that you have formed against every living kingdom that you have literally fed, just like the breath feeding. See, we're not operating in her. We're not going to ever operate in her, beloveds. We're only operating in the gene and in the organ, cells, and tissues. Remember in your mother's womb what you turned into before you turned into her? This is what we operate in. And this is what we need to always remember we are. We are in heavenly realm. She don't know nothing but darkness. The world ain't taught her nothing heavenly. She thinks herself to be a minority, beloveds. She literally believes herself to be a minority. If you just look at your own history, she has to march for rights. She has to vote to have a living right. But she is the living kingdom. It's time to wake up. We've been sleeping on God for far too long. And a lot of y'all don't know this time is up. This kingdom's time is up. God ain't choosing her. God is choosing you. God ain't choosing her sex and her race and her name. God is choosing you. You. Who are you? Who are you? Are you her? Or are you I am? When God returns, God is not choosing her. This is what is the end time prophecy. Her inequities. What she did to this. God is choosing you, the soul. When God returns, God is not returning for her. What we don't see happening right now is we see this whole kingdom. This whole kingdom is about to fall like Babylon, like what is it called? The Book of Lot. Just like the Book of Lot. All this is taking place in our inequities. Back in the day of Lot's time, that was the inequities. That's what God returned back for, and that's what he destroyed. He destroyed the inequities. The book of Job was teaching us what happens when we have numbered our days. We have numbered our days as this existence, as the gene. We will be destroyed by this, whoever this is, the diabolical. We call it, the Bible calls it the world. This is who represents the world. She represents the world. This represents infinity, eternity, immortality, immortal being. She doesn't represent nothing but the valley of the shadow of death, the spiritual forces of evil, flesh. She does not honor the spirit. She hates the spirit. She's been taught by her masters of the world to hate to live inside of her own immunity, to hate to be the head of her own immunity, to hate to live in her own truth. She was taught by the world to hate her own existence. She was taught by the world to abuse her own existence. She was taught by the world to deny her own existence. What does a human profit if she gains the whole world, but she hates her own soul? Do not be conformed to the world. Stay transformed and renewed in my mind. Heart immunity. It is the Holy Spirit operating in the living kingdom. You will not be a spiritual force. We have to understand it's just like the breath. It's just like the heartbeat. It's a frequency and a vibration. We're not living in a body. See these little veins? That's where we live in. That's where we live in. We living inside of here. Who's feeding this kingdom? You got a whole world feeding this kingdom. Who's feeding this kingdom? When I would tell you that I didn't feel like I was being loved, because internal, this kingdom has to be fed, not this kingdom. And what I was being fed in this kingdom, because I was a minority, do you think I was being fed anything? No, we know this. We know if you a minority, beloveds, you marching for something. You were born in the image and the likeness, so you know you not. This common sense, when you can't even live in common sense, when you can't even operate in your own mind, in truth. It's a scary place. It's a scary, scary place, beloveds, when you really understand the truth. But the beautiful thing about understanding that truth, you come back to God. You get out of the valley of the shadow of death. You get out of the bondage. And you get out of the toxic, the spiritual forces of evil. And my battery is going out on this phone as well, so I'm going to end this. If no one has told you on this day or any other day, love and immunity. And when we start operating in our heart immunity again, beloveds, healing, this will start to feed this, and this will take care of it all for us. Fearfully and wonderfully made we are, beloveds. But as long as we operating outside of our own truth, which is living, and we operating in the valley of the shadow of death, we are just our end time prophecy. No, nothing is added on to our lifespan. Nothing is given on to us but that in which we ask, and it shall be given. Many have taught us to ask for so little that we don't even exist inside of our own creation. And many will not get this. And many will deny us the truth to understand this and to accept it and to believe in something in which we are, in which we have been taught that we are not. And as an internal being, I have walked. I have had eyes to see. I have been the witness and the witnesser. I am the living and the unliving. I am the truth and the non-truth. But before any of those things, I am. Have an amazing day, beloveds.